Hello, everybody. Hello, YouTube. Hello, art history enthusiasts and visual culture aficionados. It's me again, Miss M, and I'm back with yet another video. With yet another video. And this is like odd for me to be making this many of them in such rapid succession. I guess I just need to maybe this helps me relax. Told you about my bad nerves, so maybe this is why I'm doing all of this. But today I will be reading this interview with you know who. I've been calling him Stevie the Snowman lately. From the New Statesman, that Tankard pointed me in the direction of that article, and I found it, and it was behind a paywall. You have to pay, or you just register. You get an account. And they let you read like 3 free articles a month. And this is it, this article that Tankard suggested, it is interesting. And I'm going to read it to you. It's not terribly long. And look at how big the letters are, so this should go pretty quickly. As opposed to my latest videos. Oh Lord, I don't know what's gotten into me. This one was this last one, the Kubrick family interview, an hour and 35 minutes. The Full Metal Jacket one, an hour and 50 minutes. The Snow video, an hour and 51 minutes. Ay, ay, ay. When I get going, I just don't know how to stop now, do I? What do they say? Don't get me started, because I ain't got no brakes. I guess so, huh? But anyway, I'm going to do that. I'm going to read that for you. But before I get started, I posted a couple of videos on my community tab, okay? And I found 2. First was with this actor who was in Eyes Wide Shut. He had like a minor role. His name's Alan Cumming, and I saw this, and I said, I saw this, I think last night. And I watched it, clicked on it, and he talked, and the guy in the video, he's like he's a little obnoxious, if you ask me, the way he talks about Stanley. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. He seems like nice enough guy, but like I don't know how I feel about how he talks about Stanley. But I listened to the thing all the way through. It's only about 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 59 seconds. And he says something rather peculiar that gave me pause. So I put this up here and I said, listen carefully, and then compare it to my latest video reading a Kubrick family interview, and I put the link for that here. Especially in the Kubrick family, I think At Home with the Kubricks, it's called. The Kubrick family interview, focus on Christiane's comments, where she answers the question about whether or not EWS, Eyes Wide Shut, was going to be Stanley's last movie. And I say, don't worry if you don't catch it, I'll point it out in the next video, and here we are. Okay, and I put it up, and Gershom is the one who caught it, and he said, there he is. In the reply, Gershom says, everyone knew. Okay. Yeah, and my reply is, curious thing for this actor to say, no? And yet, I just can't get over it. I cannot get over it. And this video was posted 9 years ago, so it's at least 9 years old, right? And this guy, this actor, I think the interviewer asks him, he says, this Eyes Wide Shut was Stanley Kubrick's last movie. Did you know? Did you guys have any feeling that this was gonna be Stanley Kubrick's last movie? I think I'm definitely paraphrasing the interviewer, but the answer that this actor gave, he says, "Oh yeah, everybody." He says, as Gershom puts in quotes basically in his comment, he says everyone knew that Eyes Wide Shut would be Stanley Kubrick's last movie. That's what this actor says in this thing. That's why I put it here for you to watch. And I was like, excuse me? And Gershom very, very, very astutely pointed that out. You heard the same thing I heard, Gershom, and that's what gave me pause. So let me go back to the interview. And the interviewer in this interview that I read to you in this video, reading a Kubrick family interview, the interviewer asks, do you think he had any idea that this might be his last movie? They're talking about Eyes Wide Shut. Okay, and Christian says no, comma, quite the opposite, period. A long pause. Long pause. Okay? I don't know what to make of this. Okay, I found this. I hope they don't take this video down now that I've pointed out what this guy said and how it very, very strongly contradicts what Christian Kubrick says here in this interview. She says no, comma, quite the opposite, period. And now I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm really not. I'm really not trying to do that, but you can see why. This is making my stomach turn a little bit. And when I say making my stomach turn, usually when people say that, they say that they mean that they're disgusted by something. I'm a little bit disgusted, but my stomach's turning because, like, when I get a feeling of some kind, I experience all of my emotions in my stomach. I don't know why. I guess, I don't know. I have a lot of Virgo placements in my I have a lot of Virgo placements in my natal chart in astrology, so, I'm not telling you what sun sign I am, but, like, I've got, like, 3 planets in Virgo and my moon in Virgo, and Virgo is connected to the stomach, so if you're interested in that, I'm a little bit interested, not too interested, but, like, I know that I have 3 planets in Virgo and a Virgo moon, so, like, I feel everything in my stomach. And when I went, even something like this, when I get suspicious about something, I feel it in, like, that core of my body, my stomach, the stomach area. Oof, this doesn't sit right with me. It's giving me indigestion, So, yeah, like, what did this actor guy? Why is he saying that? Everybody knew, right? Everyone knew that it would be his last. How did they know? He was born in 1928. He turned 70 in 1998 in August. He was a Leo, by the way. I think, yeah, Stanley Kubrick was a Leo. Since we're talking about astrology. And he turned 70 in August of 1998, and then when he died in March of 1999, he was like 70 and a half years old. And maybe if there are any, like, very young people listening to this, that sounds like, oh, so old, 70. Like, it is and it isn't. Okay, if you're like a 20-year-old listening to this, the closer you get to that age, the younger it seems. Does that make any sense? So, I have relatives who lived well into their 80s and 90s, and at 70, yeah, they were not young anymore, but they still had, like, plenty of energy, at least in my family. Maybe we just eat really good. We eat a lot of vegetables. We eat a lot of vegetables, not a lot of junk food, not a lot of packaged processed foods, like fresh food, hardly ever anything that's frozen or canned or whatever. But, like, a lot of my relatives lived to be quite old. And at the age of 70, they were still, like, doing, maybe not at their job, because that's, well past retirement age, the age of 70, but they were still, like, doing quite vigorous physical labor, like around the house, or like maybe they had their own business and they had to haul boxes, and they did it without much trouble at the age of 70. The age of 80, that's another story. The body gets pretty darn worn out between the ages of 70 and 80, but Um, at the age of 70, I wouldn't have counted him out yet. Definitely not. Especially an artist. Like, come on. So this is a very weird thing for this actor to say. I just cannot ignore the weirdness of that comment that he makes. Like Gershom points out, everyone knew. Really? Like, how did they know? He doesn't elaborate. He just says everyone knew. I'm suspicious as hell. My stomach is like, yeah, I need to go take some Pepsid AC. So, I don't know, y'all. I do not know. And we've got the closest person to him basically ever, or alive at the time, his wife. Christiane said no, quite the opposite. He did not have any idea. He did not think that Eyes Wide Shut might be his last movie. Very, very interesting. Y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. And then I put this one up of Stevie the Snowman. He says he met him once on the set, and he calls Stanley Kubrick compulsive. Okay, again, he's trying to make Stanley Kubrick sound like he was some kind of nut that, should have been in a straitjacket or something. This man is detestable. Stevie the Snowman, I mean. Just detestable. Ooh. Again, there goes my stomach again. I don't know, y'all. I just don't know. But, that's that. So I shared these with you in the community tab. And I was like poking around too. So I'm looking at Stanley's filmography. You have this. You can get to this by going to his Wikipedia, his biography, his Wikipedia article biography, and then scroll down and you'll find like links to various stuff. So Stanley Kubrick filmography says right here he was born in 1928, lived until 1999. Okay. He directed 13 feature films and 3 short documentaries over the course of his career. His work as a director, spanning diverse genres, is widely regarded as being extremely influential. Okay? And what I was looking for was like this list of his feature films. Yeah, I'm interested in his documentaries. Absolutely. And look, and this was also quite interesting at the bottom. It says critical response. And they limit it to his like scores on the scores for his films on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. I don't know why Fear and Desire and Killer's Kiss are not on Metacritic, but I guess that's not my business. So, but look at these scores. Like, which one has the highest score? Hold up. Okay, so I think we've got 2 that are tied. The highest score is 98% The Killing. That's interesting. And 98% for Dr. Strangelove. Huh. The highest score on Metacritic is Dr. Strangelove. Okay. Interesting. And the lowest score on Rotten Tomatoes it's a tie, again, for the lowest score for Eyes Wide Shut and Fear and Desire. Okay, both at 75%. That's interesting. And The Shining is at 84%. And Metacritic is 66. What is wrong with these people? Did Stevie the Snowman pay them off? Oh my God. I can't believe this. Ridiculous. Anyway, I just found this interesting. Like, so if you in your life, if you feel like you're not doing like so well or whatever, and you're not getting the recognition that you deserve, just take a look at this. These idiots gave Stanley Kubrick a C on on Fear and Desire, Eyes Wide Shut, a high C for Lolita on Metacritic, a high C for Clockwork Orange on Metacritic, and both The Shining and Eyes Wide Shut, he got a D. And which is very fitting because those were his grades in high school. And did he drop out of high school? I don't know. But like he didn't go to college. That I do know. So don't feel bad about yourself. Look at what they're doing to Stanley. They can't not let him be great because he's going to be great no matter what. no matter what Stevie the Snowman or Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes or anybody has to say. But, take heart. It's not just you, it's Stanley Kubrick too. But I was looking at this list of his feature films, the 13, right? Interesting number though, right? And I was just thinking about doing a video about the female characters in Stanley Kubrick movies. Looking at it from, I don't know, a feminist or maybe even just a pseudo-feminist perspective. I wanted to see what I could do with that. And it kind of I was opening up all of these, well, not all of them, but a good number of them. I opened up and looked at the cast, the list of the people there who were, performing. And it just kind of dawned on me, there are not very many female main characters in Stanley Kubrick movies. How many, those of you who have seen all of them? I haven't, but I do. I'm aware of a lot of them, and I'm roughly aware of the characters and the cast and the whatever. But those of you who've seen all of them, how many main female characters can you name? Other than Wendy and Alice. And if you've seen Barry Lyndon, maybe, Marissa Berenson's character, Lady Lyndon. But she's kind of like a non-factor, it seems, in that movie. But whatever. Other than those three, Wendy, Alice, Lady Lyndon, and maybe Lolita, right? Lolita, blah, blah, blah. Sorry. Lolita and Lolita, I can't talk tonight. And Lolita's mother, played by Shelley Winters. Those are, yeah. Yeah. What is up with that? Those are the most memorable female characters are Alice, Hartford, Wendy Torrance, and, Dolores, Lolita, in Lolita, and maybe Lolita's mother too. And I just kind of want to analyze that. Personally, me. Because it seems like Stanley Kubrick's movies are pardon my language, but they seem like a real sausage party. Where's the female influence in these movies? And then it kind of dawned on me. Stanley is doing something. I believe that Stanley is doing something similar to what Quentin Tarantino is doing in Kill Bill. Maybe Stanley, not maybe, I don't think it's a maybe. I think very, very much and very surely he respected women. Contrary to what Stevie the Snowman has to say, I believe that Stanley Kubrick really deeply respected females, women, the women in his life, his wife, and his 3 daughters. He raised 3 daughters with his wife, Christiane. And he seems like an awesome dad, and these women seem like they're very confident, good people. He raised three women who were capable of taking care of themselves and were very well spoken and seemed like just nice people. And his wife seems like a really nice person. This is not a misogynist. Stanley Kubrick is not a misogynist. And the reason I want to kind of address this topic, or at least examine it somewhat, is because of all the flack he gets, because of, little shit rakers like Stevie the Snowman, who make these ridiculous statements about him that aren't true. That just aren't true. So I really want to take a look at that. All right, I'm back. I had an interruption. Very sorry about that. But here we are again. What the hell was I saying? Oh, Oh, I was talking about the lack of female characters in Stanley Kubrick's films, and I said, oh yeah, Quentin. I was talking about Quentin. Um, and I think he's doing something similar to what Quentin is doing in Kill Bill. I really do. He's pointing out, I mean, with the lack of female characters, especially in a movie like Full Metal Jacket, and the way he does represent women. I could see how some people might interpret that as having misogynistic tendencies, but I'm sorry, I disagree. I think it's quite the opposite. I think that he's showing women who are the products of their environment or the products of their upbringing. I don't like Wendy Torrance. No, I don't. I don't like people like Alice Hartford. I don't. No, they're detestable. And the wife in Lady Lydon in Barry Lyndon, same thing. She's just no, absolutely not. And those three female characters, I mean, if we're gonna judge all women based on them, yeah, like, no, absolutely not. So Stanley's pointing something out that he wants us to notice. He's pointing it out by not pointing it out. Does that make any sense? Like with the Wendy character, that Stevie the Snowman complains about so much, and he says that the character, the way Stanley did her, was misogynistic. No, that's not the point. That's not the point. That is absolutely not the point. He's making, with the Wendy character, I think Stanley is making one hell of a statement about the way women are treated. I really do. Wendy is, especially the way Shelley Duvall played her, like, just think about it. She's one of the few, like, main female characters in his, in his, in the movies, the feature films that he's directed, and he chose Shelley Duvall to play her, and Stephen King says that was a grotesque casting decision or something like that. No, it was an awesome casting decision. Same thing with Nicole Kidman in Eyes Wide Shut. Awesome casting decision. It had to be Nicole Kidman. It had to be Shelley Duvall. It had to be Marissa Berenson. And I'll get into it when I finally make that video. But, so, it's just a little bit of food for thought. So, once again, thank you. Where are you? Gershom, thank you for, you figured it out quite quickly, and thank you for doing that. And Tankard, thank you for turning me on to this article, and I found it, and I have access to it, and I'm going to read it to you. So once again, get comfortable. I should have told you that right away. Get comfortable. Get your snacks. Get your, beverage that you enjoy before bedtime, or in the morning, or in the afternoon, whatever, or, happy hour, whatever you got going on. I'm going to read this thing. And before I do, let me just do my church announcements real quick, in case I forget at the end. Returning viewers, thank you for returning. New viewers, thank you for being new. Subscribers, thank you for subscribing. And all of you, thank you for being here, whoever you are, whatever you are, a returning viewer, a new viewer, or a subscriber. Thank you for being here. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, because that's supposed to help me somehow. And I can't quite figure it out yet, but allegedly it helps. So please do it, at least one of those, right? And I apologize in advance for all the cussing you're about to hear. So, there's that. That's your warning. That's all I'm gonna do. So here we go, right? Ryan. It's by Ryan Gilby. This article from New Statesman. Okay. And I read this. I looked through it, and I already knew that this was going to irritate me. And I think Tankard said that in the comments. He said, I'm going to gouge my eyes out. Not my eyes, it's the stomach tonight. So, I don't know, maybe I ate something I shouldn't have. Like, I had some soup for dinner that was a little suspicious. But I'm not dead, so we're okay. Anyway, so this was published 11th of October 2012, and for what I get from kind of reading through this quickly is that it was published in anticipation of the at the time upcoming movie Room 237. That was done. I didn't know this, but now I do. That was done by that guy who did the $1,500 Taschen book. Well, but what is his name? Lee Unkrich. And I know somebody sent me the link for his presentation or whatever. Unkrich's presentation. I haven't watched it yet. I have my reasons. I will eventually, but oof, so, again, the stomach is working overtime. So, what was I going with this and why? Oh yeah, so that documentary Room 237 was made by the Unkrich guy. Don't know what to think. But we'll see, right? And this is anticipating that movie coming out in 2012, the documentary. So let me just read it and not sound like an idiot anymore. It says Gilby on film, and the Gilby on film that we're referring to here is Ryan Gilby. Gilby on film interview with Stephen King in 1978. Check this out, you guys. And Tankard said I'm gonna gouge my eyes out, and I'm like, no. I'm going to cuss my ass off. That's what I'm going to do. 2 years before its release, Stephen King discusses The Shining, Jack Nicholson, and Stanley Kubrick. Let's see here. I think this is Gilby writing in this first part with a small font. I got a pleasant chill, entirely unconnected with the air conditioning, as I left the auditorium of the Cineworld Haymarket earlier this week. Descending the staircase, I found myself confronted with a poster advertising a coming attraction, Stanley Kubrick's film of The Shining, Stephen King's novel about a hotel caretaker, Jack Nicholson, holed up with his wife, Wendy, Shelley Duvall, and their son, Danny Lloyd, and assorted demons in the secluded Overlook Hotel. My conscious mind knew full well that Kubrick's picture was about to be reissued, or rather released for the first time in the UK in the 144-minute version previously seen only by US audiences. That's 24 additional minutes, fellow shiners. But for the briefest of moments, it seemed I had strolled through a time hole. The major cinema chains are notoriously slapdash about clearing those up, and stumbled into 1980. Though I have seen the UK version on the big screen, the last time I saw the poster displayed in a cinema was as a 9-year-old for whom the advertising materials were as close as it was possible to get to actually watching that X-rated film. Okay. Both he and I are very much looking forward to the film opening next month. I think he means both him and his 9-year-old self. Oof, that's a little sloppy, but whatever. I'll be reviewing The Shining in the NS, New Statesman, I guess, when it's released. There are also previews of the movie in cinemas across the country on Halloween. And it'll be illuminating. Interesting choice of words. And it'll be illuminating to sift through the various theories surrounding the film and its meanings collected together in the documentary Room 237, which gets a cinema release a week before The Shining. Okay. There's a fun interview here with Lee Unkrich, the Pixar filmmaker and Shining obsessive who helped finance Room 237. I'm going to have to look this guy up. Lee Unkrich. You might do it right now. No, let me get through this paragraph. It was also announced recently that King will publish next year a Shining sequel, Dr. Sleep, focusing on Danny as an adult. Now y'all know how I feel about that. Anyway, for now, though, I want to share with you a fascinating piece I found in a 1978 issue of the science fiction horror movie magazine Ciné Fantastique. The feature reports partly on news of the film's then ongoing production at EMI Elstree Studios, where it had been shooting for 6 months. The journalist Jim Albertson informs readers that Kubrick is adding a shock sequence involving Danny in the resort's computer game room as the machines come alive, threateningly on their own. Kubrick has selected and gathered at EMI Elstree some 24 of the most sophisticated electronic games by the world's leading manufacturers for the scene. Oh, really? Okay. If it was shot at all, that sequence never made it into the finished film. Maybe Stanley Kubrick was doing a disinformation campaign. He didn't want people to really know what he was doing. I don't know. Seems that way to me, but whatever. Hold on one second. Okay, I took a second to look up Lee Unkrich and the book and the whole thing. I don't know what to think. It looks like the Room 237 documentary was possibly created just to generate some kind of publicity for this, I guess, re-release of The Shining that was going on in the same year. Because, what does it say here? The Room 237 documentary got a cinema release a week before the re-release of The Shining. So that's awfully suspicious to me. And the people who were doing the Room 237 thing, I watched the whole thing. I think I've watched it maybe 2 or 3 times. The whole thing, all the way through, the Room 237 documentary. And it was interesting and intriguing, but something about it did not sit well with me. I'm being honest. I'm letting you know how I really feel. I don't know. I'm not going to come to any conclusions or make any judgment calls right now. But I need to think about it for a while and maybe do a little bit of reading, so we shall see. Anyway, so they're still talking about the filming of The Shining, 1978, whatever. And this Ryan Gilbey is reproducing parts of this 1978 issue of this movie magazine, Ciné Fantastique, with all of this stuff plus the Stephen King comments. So let's get to it. So we already talked about the video games attacking Danny, was it? That didn't happen. Okay. It says, it is undecided at this point, Albertson continues, whether the Overlook will or will not explode, as it does in the book, at the film's conclusion. One ending under consideration has Jack freeze to death in the hedge maze. Kubrick has abandoned the concept of the hedge animals, which come to life in the King book, in favor of a hedge maze. Okay. They make up for the ghost of the dead woman in Room 217, which may be changed to Room 237 for legal reasons. Promises to be grisly. The makeup for the ghost of the dead woman in Room 217 promises to be incredibly grisly. The Shining could prove to be the most viscerally powerful horror film experience an audience was ever subjected to. It will be Kubrick's challenge to make it a great film as well. Okay. And then Ryan Gilbey comments, let me say, Jim, that I think he did okay. Yeah, he did okay. He did, just okay. The feature on The Shining also contains an interview with King, who expressed some ambivalence about the project, even at that early stage. It's well known that he was not enamored of Kubrick's version, and even wrote his own television adaptation, which aired in 1997. And Tankard mentioned that in the comments for the Kubrick family interview video that I did, right? Wow, that was just a complete spite project, and we all know it. Like, seriously. And he, like Tankard was saying, he probably had people paid off to say good things about it. I mean, yeah. Anyway, he begins by casting, he is King, Stevie the Snowman, begins by casting aspersions on directors as a species. He says, as a moviegoer, I don't give a tin whistle what a director thinks. I want to know what he sees. Most directors have good visual and dramatic instincts, most good directors anyway, but in intellectual terms they are pinheads by and large. Ooh, he sounds mad. So angry. Whatever. Nothing wrong in that. Who wants a film director who's a utility infielder? Let them do their job, enjoy their work, but for Christ's sake, let's not see Freudianisms in the work of any film director. The only director who seems to have any psychological point of view at all is Ingmar Bergman, and his is Jungian, which is the next thing to saying intellectual. Can you imagine Bergman doing The Shining? That would be interesting. Okay, no. Stephen King sounds like somebody who's trying to sound smart. He sounds like a complete idiot. Okay? Reading 80 books a year has not helped his brain in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. At least in 1978 it hadn't. Right? This loudmouth, bloviating, like, idiot. I can't believe it. I can't believe the shit that I just read that he said about directors as a species. I think, maybe this, Ryan Gilbey is, like, doing this because he knows how this is going to come off. He's selected this quote from this article in 1978 by Stephen King because he just sounds like a complete fucking fool. He sounds like a complete fucking fool. It's unbelievable. Ooh, I don't know, like, everything he says here is complete stupidity. Complete stupidity. He's already got his ideas about what film directors are like, and this is in what, 1978? And when was he born? 1940. Was it 1947? So he's about, what, 30, 31 years old at this point in his life, and he's spent his whole life in Maine. Yeah, first he went to college, and then he worked as an English teacher, and he knows everything there is to know about film directors. Really. He spent his whole life, he went to college, he worked as an English teacher, sold his ridiculous short stories to those trashy magazines, and that's, that was his start as a writer. And then all of a sudden in 1974, when he was, still in his, like, mid-20s, Carrie gets published, then it gets turned into a movie, and he becomes, like, real hot shit, and now he knows everything. No, I don't think so. I just don't think so. Anyway, let's keep it moving. He then moves on to discuss Kubrick's take on The Shining. And here he is, flapping his gums. From the beginning, when I first talked to Kubrick some months ago, he wanted to change the ending. Okay, this is interesting. He asked me for my opinion on Halloran, the hotel cook, played in Kubrick's film by Scatman Crothers, becoming possessed, and then finished the job that Torrance started, killing Danny, Wendy, and lastly himself. Then the scene would shift to the spring, with a new caretaker and his family arriving. However, the audience would see Jack, Wendy, and Danny in an idyllic family scene as ghosts, sitting together laughing and talking. Oh my God. And I saw a parallel between this peaceful setting at the end of the picture and the end of 2001, where the astronaut is transported to the Louis XIV bedroom. To me, the two endings seem tied together. Now, before I say anything, before I cuss him out again, we don't know whether or not he's telling the truth. We have no way of checking whether or not this alleged conversation between him and Stanley Kubrick ever took place. All right? That's a big problem, because there's a huge, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, but in my opinion, there's a huge chance that Stephen King is lying. And if he's lying about this, which is, like I said, totally possible, I just don't know what to make of it. Why is he telling people this? Like, he's doing this interview in 1978, so the movie hasn't been released yet. Okay. So the movie it hasn't been released yet. So I'm assuming that maybe he has no idea how the movie's going to look when it does get released. I'm assuming Kubrick isn't telling him much. And I'm assuming also, these are my assumptions, that Kubrick is feeding him like false information. Maybe just to see how he'll react. Even in this article, like, I think one of his daughters, or maybe even Christiane, I don't know, I think it was one of his daughters, said that he would do that. He would even do that at the dinner table with his son-in-law. He would just say stuff to get a reaction out of the guy, and then, like, he'd like to debate with people. Oh, Lord. Maybe that's what's going on here. And he's trying to see, Stanley, being Stanley, was probably trying to get a read on, like, what's up with Stephen King, and like what kind of stuff pisses him off, and I don't know. I don't know. That's what this sounds like to me. And Stephen King sounds like he's doing his damnedest in this paragraph that I just read here. He sounds like he's doing his damnedest to maybe even possibly sabotage Kubrick, or just like put out whatever false information for some. I think that he had an issue with Stanley Kubrick, like, immediately. I don't think that, like, he got mad in 1980 after the movie was released and, like, whatever. No, I think he was, like, mad back in 78, maybe even 1977. Jeez. Ungrateful son of a bitch. That's what he is. Okay, let me keep going, right? This is the continuation, I guess, of what I just read. The impression I got from our conversation is that Kubrick does not believe in life after death. Oh, this shit again. Okay. All right. Yet he thought that any vein of the supernatural story, whether it is horrifying or whether it is pleasant, is inherently optimistic because it points towards the possible survival of the spirit. And I told him that's all very good as a philosophy, but when an audience is brought face to face with the slaughter of characters that they care about, then they cry for your head once they go out of the theater. But Kubrick has modified his original ideas extensively, so I don't expect to see this ending in the final film. Ooh, okay. All right. He has no idea what he's saying. He has no idea what he's saying. He probably doesn't even have any idea what Stanley said to him. Wasn't 1978 like the year when he says that he started being like a real hardcore cokehead? I'm just saying. Maybe this conversation, oh God, maybe this conversation, the one he keeps repeating over and over and over again about Stanley Kubrick said that ghost stories are optimistic, maybe that all happened in Stephen King's mind. And he never Never really had that conversation with him. He just imagined that he had it. Maybe he dreamed he had it. I don't know. Y'all. Yeah. I'm just having a little fun here. Anyway, let me keep it going. On the omission in the film of the topiary animals springing to life, Stevie the Snowman says, I never really thought that the topiary animals would make it to the film anyway. The director would face a dual risk. The first being that the effect would not look real. The second risk is that even if the effect does look real, the audience might laugh. These are problems facing the filmmaker, problems I didn't have to contend with writing the novel. Ugh, you could say that again. You didn't have to contend with anything writing this novel, in my opinion. On violence. Oh, Lord. It's a dangerous package to handle. It is all too easy to let violence dominate. A lot of good directors have floundered on that particular rock, and that's one of the reasons I like Don Siegel, because he handles violence well. I would have preferred Siegel to direct The Shining. You would have preferred? Well, then that tells us it wasn't your decision, now was it? And since it wasn't your decision, Stevie, whose decision was it? Whoever that person was that made that decision didn't give a shit what you had to say, even though it's allegedly your book. Okay. So, like, why the trash talk? Why mention another director when you have already got one of the best directors in cinematic history, at least in the United States, is directing an adaptation of your book? Why can't you just be happy? I mean, I think I know why. Because you knew, even at this stage, even in 1978, he knew, Stephen knew that he maybe had a good idea that Kubrick couldn't stand him, thought he was an idiot and whatever, and knew that his success and all of this shit was fake, and he knew what was coming. Stevie the Snowman, knew what was coming. A big ass slap in the face. That's what was coming. And he got it. And he keeps getting it. He's getting it right now. Anyway, on the casting of The Shining, I'm a little afraid of Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance in that context, because he is not an ordinary man. Oh, this shit again. So far as I know, he's never played an ordinary man, and I'm not sure he can. Stephen King is an idiot. He absolutely is. Prior to 1980, Jack Nicholson played plenty of ordinary men. He did. And he was good at it. Jack Nicholson is Jack Nicholson. And, maybe in a way, Jack Nicholson is typecast, as he always plays, maybe not a villain, but like a character that has this boiling rage, or simmering rage, or maybe not boiling, but simmering rage beneath the surface. But he's also, in his portrayals of his various roles, you identify with him, rage and all. You identify with the Jack Nicholson, whatever character he's playing. He somehow knows, as an actor, as a performer, he knows how to get the audience on the side of his character. I don't know how he does that. Even in The Shining, he does this role in The Shining in such a nuanced way. Jack Nicholson does. This is my opinion. Again, this is all my opinion. But Jack Nicholson does the Jack Torrance portrayal in such a nuanced way that this is part of the reason that we're questioning whether or not what we're being shown in this movie is what's actually happening in the real world of the movie. I don't know. You all tell me what you think in the comments. But I definitely disagree with Stevie the Snowman on this one. He has played an ordinary man. He has. 5 Easy Pieces. What's the other one? Um, why can't I think of it now? Oh, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, come on. Those are not ordinary men. Ending up in a nut house is not what happens to ordinary people. Yeah, it does. Come on, Stephen. Come on. So I would have rather seen Michael Moriarty or Martin Sheen play Torrance, but these actors are not supposed to be bankable. Yeah, Martin Sheen's not bankable. Really? Okay, you're an idiot. Hollywood loves that word. Shelley Duvall as Wendy is an example of absolutely grotesque casting. Yeah, it's turning out like the more I watch this movie, and the more I think about the movie in general and the Wendy character in general, I can't think of a better casting decision. I can't think of a better casting decision. Shelley Duvall she doesn't get the credit she deserves. Just for this role alone that she did. Like, yeah, we saw the behind the scenes documentary that Vivian Kubrick did. And yeah, we see that scene of like Shelley Duvall and Stanley Kubrick arguing. So Shelley Duvall was like a strong person. Okay, she was prepared to argue with Stanley Kubrick. And they had their disagreements or whatever. They're on camera. Vivian Kubrick captured them on camera. And she still speaks of, from what I can see, from what I've been, exposed to, after all of that, she still speaks of Stanley Kubrick with reverence and respect. At least that's what I've seen. I don't think there's like any. If you can find one, let me know. But I don't think there's any source or any interview where she says like, yeah, it was horrible working with Stanley Kubrick. No, I don't. I haven't seen that. Right? So, again, more of the Stanley Kubrick like smear campaign against him, possibly initiated by, Stevie the Snowman. Who the hell knows? I don't know. But yeah, no, that was an awesome casting decision. Shut up, Steven. Shut up. Next, on Brian De Palma's film of King's novel, Carrie. And he says, I liked De Palma's film of Carrie quite a bit. The attitude of the film was different from my book. I tended to view the events straight on, humorlessly, in a straight point-to-point progression. You have to remember that the genesis of Carrie was no more than a short story idea. Who cares? While I think De Palma saw a chance to make a movie that was a satirical view of high school life in general, in high school peer groups in particular, a perfectly viable point of view, Sissy Spacek was excellent, but right behind her in a smaller part than it should have been was John Travolta. He played the part of Billy Nolan the way I wish I'd written it, half funny and half crazy. I don't know what to think of this. He's praising Carrie and De Palma, but and this is in 1978, so the movie is about like 2 years old at this point. The movie Carrie is about 2 years old at this point. But right before that, he's talking shit, mad shit, about Stanley Kubrick and his casting decisions and and the movie hasn't even been released yet. This is 2 years before The Shining is released in 1980, and he's talking crazy shit about Stanley Kubrick and his movie The Shining and his casting decisions and his opinion about the afterlife or whatever. This is thank you, Tankard, for showing me this or pointing me at this. This shit don't make no sense. This is crazy. This is crazy. He's a nut. I mean, no, maybe I shouldn't call him a nut because that makes it sound like he can't control himself. No, he's very in control of what he's saying here, and it's just malicious. It's just absolutely mean-spirited and evil in my opinion. Like if somebody was, like I read in the family interview last night, Christiane said he was, what did she say? I think it's over here. With regard to like the shit people said about him, Stanley was amazingly tolerant in taking the most extraordinary abuse. He sure was. Because this idiot, this asshole, Stevie the Snowman, was saying this in 1978 while the movie was being made. What the hell? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I would've, I don't know. Stanley probably did the right thing. He didn't say anything. But I can imagine like how he must have felt like with this nut job, talking all this crazy shit. Anyway, on Kubrick. He is one of the 3 or 4 greatest directors of our day, maybe of all time. However, I think he is indulgent. Terribly indulgent. Wait a minute, you idiot. You dumbass. You just said he's one of the 3 or 4 greatest directors of our day, maybe of all time. However, you think he's indulgent. Terribly indulgent. Really? So, why are you saying that you think he's one of the greatest? If he's indulgent, like, is he the greatest in spite of being indulgent, or what? What? Ooh, this idiot. He continues, A Clockwork Orange just doesn't hold up today. In 1978, it didn't hold up. Really? Really? It doesn't hold up? Like, what are you talking about, you lunatic? What do you mean hold up? To what? What does it not hold up to? Ooh, some of his other films do. I think Dr. Strangelove and 2001: A Space Odyssey do, and Barry Lyndon will. Just he's talking just to talk. I think I get that feeling here. He's just flapping his gums because I guess he has no choice. He's being interviewed, but still, he still didn't have to say all this ridiculous crap. Anyway, but even if his film of The Shining is an artistic failure, it will probably be a commercial success. And even if it's a failure, it will be an interesting failure. Really? Oh, yeah, the Coke. I forgot about that. Anyway, you have to realize I'm only talking as an interested observer. I'm not a participant. Then shut up. You're an interested observer? You got your check. The check cleared. You can shut up now. Like, is he obligated to do these interviews? I'm just wondering. He's not a participant. Thank God. Because if you were a participant, it would have been just as bad as your book. Ooh. Anyway. And that's it. I guess I've reached the end of this interview. Yeah. The extended version of The Shining is released in the UK on the 2nd of November, with previews on the 31st of October. Room 237 opens on the 26th of October. There's so much going on here, Tankard, and everybody who's listening, that I'm just wondering about this. He's talking trash 2 years before the movie's release. And this is not like, I don't think this can be interpreted any other way. He's just straight up talking trash. It's almost like he doesn't want the movie to do well, even though like his name is connected to it because he wrote the novel. Does he not realize that if the movie doesn't do well, that makes him look bad too? Or is he just that stupid? I don't know. I really don't know. This is weird. This is very, 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 very weird. Yeah. This sound. He sounds like a complete and total and utter fool. Okay? He sounds like somebody who thinks of himself as an intellectual, but Just isn't. Just isn't. He sounds like he's got a serious problem with his ego. Um, he sounds like he's trying to derail The Shining, the movie by Stanley Kubrick, and that's what sticks out to me. And if I'm right, and that's what he's trying to do, like, why would he ever want to do that? Why would he criticize the casting choices? Why would he criticize the director himself and the director's beliefs about whatever, like the afterlife, religion, or whether he's religious or not really? That has nothing to do with anything. His book is being made into a movie. His book is being made into a movie. I mean, most people would be happy, especially at the very beginning of their career, and like the third book he's had published in a very short amount of time. The Shining was published in 1977. Carrie was published in 1974, and I think in between those two, it was like, what was that damn book called? I don't remember. But there was so the first one was Carrie, the third one was The Shining, and there was a second one that was published between 74 and 77. All before he turned 30. And he got like lots and lots of moolah for those 3 books and whatever. He got this crazy success out of the blue that he obviously didn't deserve, because I'm getting reports from the Slack fellas, I think Gershom in particular, that he's just not a good writer. He's just not a good writer. How? Who? I'm going to say it again. What kind of contract with the devil himself did this awful man sign in order to get his alleged success? I don't know. But this is all kinds of suspicious to me. My stomach is boiling. I don't know. But you guys, I don't know what else to say. But there's something about this interview or about this article, Tankard, that is like, it's just not sitting right with me. I can't quite even identify or articulate what that might be. Maybe it'll hit me one day when I'm on the elliptical trainer. Who knows? But or on the freeway or something, listening to something on my Spotify playlist. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it. But you guys, thank you once again for being here. Thank you, Tankard, for directing me towards this article. Thank you, all of you, for the comments for the latest video. I love them all. I love all the comments, and I'm working on some more stuff. Like I said, part 16 is on the way, and then part 16. Then either the 42 video or the Colorado Lounge video. I don't know which one's going to come first. I don't know how I'm going to feel in this upcoming week. We shall see. So, and yes, you know what? I'm going to throw in an installment of Full Metal Jacket. I'm going to do the first 15 minutes of that movie. Again, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to do screenshots or just I can't just let the movie run. Not even for a couple of seconds, because they can't wait to do a copyright strike or whatever for you on this platform. So, yeah. But until then, until my next video, until I find yet another reason to talk at you, I'm going to go ahead and bid you bye-bye. So, bye-bye, everybody.